What's up guys, Matt back again, and welcome back to yet another community-driven video. This time, we are going to be doing our top 10 most desired Masterlise figures for Bandai to redo. Before we dive into today's video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. Don't forget to follow me on all my socials for the latest updates and behind the scenes content. Check out the description below for helpful links on how and where to buy the products featured in my videos. Also, join our amazing community on Discord. We would love to have you there. And of course, if you're feeling generous, consider becoming a YouTube member. Not only will you support the channel, but you'll have a chance to win brand new Dragon Ball figures every month. So what do I mean by, hey, I want Bandai to redo these? These are Masterlise figures that have already released, maybe a lot of the older ones that really just haven't aged as well, or were just poorly executed in many different ways, or maybe even just a few ways that we would like Bandai to revisit and kind of right the wrongs. And, you know, I don't know about you guys, but I think I would definitely be willing to pay for, you know, redone certain characters and forms within the Dragon Ball Masterlise collection if they really did, you know, enhance them quite a bit. Now, the big difference with this video is that I made this list myself, but it was recommended by this comment right here. So I do want to thank them for this idea. I thought it was a very cool idea, and I said, totally, I will definitely do a video. So this is my personal top 10 Masterlise figures for them to redo. But I would like to hear yours in the comment section below. So please share your top 10 most desired Masterlise figures that you'd like Bandai to revisit and, you know, enhance. So without further ado, let us begin with number 1. And I think a lot of people will agree with me here. I think this might be the top one on this list. Super Saiyan 2 Teen Gohan, or Gohan Youth, whatever you want to call him. Growing up, we called him Teen Gohan, even though I know he's not a teenager. He's like 10 or 11, but just for simplicity's sake, we called him Teen Gohan growing up. So I don't hate the e-moving from Battle of World. I think it is a okay figure. It's definitely not as good as something like the Grandista or even the Master Stars piece. There's even some Crane figures out there like the GX Materia and others that really executed on Gohan's probably most iconic form and moment way better than the Masterlise did. The Masterlise does have a bonus where it's an e-moving, so you can swap out the heads, you can change the arms, which is cool. I think his regular Super Saiyan form on the Masterlise is pretty good. However, the Super Saiyan 2 leaves a lot to be desired. His hair just looks like a bunch of bananas on his head. His face doesn't look perfect. And the scaling of the figure, while it's pretty good, I feel like it does need to be updated just to add a bit more volume onto the figure. Something like the Super Saiyan Teen Gohan from Omnibus Great, I think would match better with modern Masterlise figures and, you know, just execute it a lot better. If Bandai want to do, you know, Father-Son Kamehameha and then that's it, I'd be okay with that, but I would still really like a standalone Super Saiyan 2 Teen Gohan redone from Bandai. All right, there is a lot of Android Saga figures on this list, so just be aware of that. But up next, you can't, you know, talk about Super Saiyan 2 Teen Gohan without Cell. And the one that I would like them to revisit is Buff Cell. I think a lot of people who know me a little bit, you know, more than others in the community understand my disdain for this figure. I have like a very bittersweet relationship with Irakua, the sculptor behind this Cell. A lot of his figures, I either, you know, really like them, but I think most of the time I end up really disgusted by them. But this Cell, while he's serviceable for a last one prize, he doesn't have any shading. I feel like the paint and sculpting application from the figure holistically is very sloppy. I also feel like his face is not well done, and I can see that they were really trying to replicate the manga, but I just don't think they executed it very well. So if they did want to revisit this figure, maybe they could take more inspiration when he uses this form out of anger against Super Saiyan 2 Teen Gohan, which would give them a good excuse to revisit Super Saiyan 2 Teen Gohan. So that way they can kind of hit two birds with one stone. Maybe do that in an Omnibus Kuji or a theme set or something. I don't really care. Even though I'm using Buff Cell on my shelf. He's right here, but he's definitely got a lot of problems, and I would much prefer if they revisited it and upgraded the hell out of it. But that's my thoughts on Cell, and hopefully you guys feel the same. I don't know. All right, we're still going, and this is yet another Android Saga figure. If I count this as part of the Android Saga when Trunks arrives to fight King Cold and Frieza, and it's King Cold. I think the Masterlise of King Cold from Omnibus Great is so close to perfection, it's almost aggravating, because while the sculpt and the likeness and the shading, everything about the figure is perfect, but that size is kind of insulting. He is 10 and a half inches tall. He basically scales as tall as Goku, which is just completely incorrect. He should be a Masterlise Extra. He should scale like with the Final Form Cooler figure, because King Cold always, there's never been a moment where they shrunk him down. He is always a huge, imposing character. Him and Second Form Frieza should be like the biggest canonical forms of Frieza and King Cold. So they should re-release this figure, try again, maybe give him Trunks his sword, or maybe use the DBS Broly, redesign that he got, and make him at least 14 inches. He's got to be 14 inches. Anything less will still have people looking at it and being like, it's not big enough. 12 inches is not big enough. He's got to be a big boy. He's got to, tower above everything. So if we get King Cold again, I will gladly pay full price if he's 14 inches tall as a Masterlise Extra. All right, we got another one that came out, and while he was okay, not as good as King Cold, he definitely was missing a lot and needed, some upgrades in the size department, and that's Android 16. So a lot of people really gas up the Fear of Android set, but, I think it's a pretty good set. However, Android 17, Dr. Gero, Android 19, all perfect figures, fantastic figures, but Android 18 kind of sucks. She didn't make this list because, Android 18, whatever. I love Android 18, sorry, but I would rather them revisit Android 16, because I feel like he stands out a lot more as something that you could definitely upgrade besides just fixing the face. His face is okay. It's not perfect. It definitely needed a little more time in the kitchen. It's serviceable, but I just feel like it's a little bit off. They made it too slim. So I would like them to try again in that department. And then obviously he's way too small. I think the figure is again, around 10 and a half inches tall. He should be at least 12 inches. I would accept 12 inches for Android 16, but realistically, he should be a 14-inch figure. He should be a giant figure that towers above them, because you'll see depictions of him with Android 18 sitting on his shoulder, and he's huge compared to her. And now I do think that if he isn't that big, because his size varies throughout the anime. Sometimes he's a giant, and then sometimes he's just really tall. You know what I'm saying? So I think if he was as tall as Imperfect Cell, the figure that we got, which is I believe around 12 to 13 inches, I think we would be pretty happy with that. If they want to revisit it, they can have him in a more action pose. Maybe he's doing the rocket punch, or maybe he's doing Hell's Flash. I think that would be a really cool figure to have his arms, underneath his armpits, and the exposed cannons that are his arms. That would maybe be a much better Masterlise, and they can make it a lot bigger. I think that'd make a lot of people happy. And I wonder if Bandai is thinking about a lot of this, looking back at older figures and saying, what could we do different and, profit off of, the errors of our past. Again, I'd pay full price for a large Android 16 Masterlise. Up next, we have yet another Android Saga character. This is the last Android Saga character that we have on this list, and I know it is a very controversial figure in the community, and it is Super Saiyan Trunks from Omnibus Ultra. So I think a lot of the conversation around this figure is, oh, the Master Stars piece is better, and people go back and forth. But I usually see people say that the Master Stars piece is better. Frankly, I think both figures have very similar issues. I think they're about the same. They're just okay and serviceable. But, you know, I probably will just prefer the Masterlise over the Master Stars piece. But the conversation is, hey, Trunks' face is not great on this figure. And his hair, even though it's good, it really could use a little bit more oomph for shading and texturing. And that's really the big issue. His face is just weird, and Super Saiyan Trunks is iconic. Trunks in general is one of the most popular characters in Dragon Ball, so I think a lot of people would love to see Bandai try again. If they wanted to do him later on in the Android arc, maybe him when he goes back to the future and he, you know, takes the jacket off and everything, that's fine. But if we want, you know, a jacket, sword, Trunks from his first appearance redone and done much better, I think that'd be fine. Maybe make him hold his sword, maybe have him doing the burning attack and you fix his face, then yeah, there you go. So yeah, Trunks is another pick on this list that came to mind when I wanted to redo some of these Masterlise figures. All right, I didn't expect this video to run this long, but we are halfway through the list, so let's keep going. Up next is one that I think a lot of us talk about, and I don't know if it really counts as a redo, but I'm gonna say it counts, and it's Frieza in his final form. We've gotten a few Masterlise of Frieza in his final form. There is the one from the Tournament of Power, which is from Omnibus Z. That one is with Goku when they defeat Jiren, but I kind of don't count that because that is him when he's defeating Jiren. It is DBS Frieza, so I'm talking about Z Frieza. And the one that we did get is two of them of the same figure in Battle on Planet Namek, the one where he's staring off with Goku, which is an iconic manga panel. And while I do think this Frieza is serviceable, he only really works when he's alongside that Goku. When you start to try and angle him in different ways, like looking at him from the front, then you kind of see the oddities with the figure and it doesn't really fit. So I would like them to revisit Frieza, maybe do what they just did with the Solid Edge Works, where he has his hands out, very iconic pose. Or, you know, they could do a lot of different things, Death Beam, whatever, man. There's plenty of iconic manga panels that they could, you know, take this Frieza from and bring him to life within Masterlise. But yes, I do want them to try again. I'd be happy to buy another Final Form Frieza if they made it a little better for him to be on his own, because as it stands, the Master Stars piece is kind of the go-to when people want, you know, a dedicated Final Form Frieza figure. Moving right along, we have a very recent figure that I frankly would like Bandai to try again, and it's Super Vegito. Super Vegito just came out in Omnibus Ultimate, and I ranked him as the worst in the set. I think he's about a C tier figure in Masterlise. I think, you know, across the grand scheme of all figures, he's like a B tier figure. I have very similar feelings with him and the Master Stars piece Vegito. Everyone gasses up the Master Stars piece Vegito, but you know, I have a lot of problems with that figure too. When I recollect it, I'll make a whole video talking about it because I know I've reviewed it in the past, and you know, as I've grown as a collector, I have issues with it too. But I think this Vegito definitely has a lot of problems, and really it's mostly in his face. His face just did not come out that great. They really only made this figure to work at the intended angle, because when you try to move him in different ways, you really see more of the imperfections. I'm happy with him, but if Bandai really did want to try again and maybe like do Spirit Sword Vegito or something, and really, you know, bring a better sculptor to work on him, then I think we would be very happy. So Bandai, maybe go hire Varuk to work on Vegito. He did a great job on the GX Materia, so I know he has, you know, the stuff it takes to make a proper Super Vegito that would make us all happy. All right, we are now moving into some Dragon Ball Super characters, and this one is Beerus. Beerus from History of the Film, I think is probably the worst one in that whole set. He's not bad, but there are some issues with him. I just feel like his face doesn't really match with what I expect from Beerus in the anime, and I think the figure overall was a little too small from a scaling perspective. I know Beerus is supposed to be slim, but it's a little ridiculous how small in scale they made his figure. I just want a little bit more volume to the figure, and I want them to fix his face. And, you know, Beerus is a very popular character, so I'm sure people wouldn't mind trying to get him again. And history of the film didn't have an Ichibancho release, at least here in the United States. So they could do an Ichibancho release for another Beerus figure to kind of fix that problem as well, since some people probably missed out on it and they don't want to import the figure. But yeah, I like Beerus a lot. He's one of my favorite characters. The Matchmakers that's coming out really does kind of look to understand what Beerus should look like in a 3D figure. So maybe whoever worked on that, or just going with that ideology and style, would fit a lot better with a Masterlise Beerus. All right, we have 2 more figures on this list, and they are both Dragon Ball Super figures. And Vegito somehow made it twice on this list. I'd like Bandai to revisit Vegito Blue. Vegito doesn't really get a lot of figures, so I don't mind if they want to do a bunch of Masterlise of him, because he deserves it. I know I love Gogeta more than Vegito, but Vegito deserves, you know, more figures because he's just as cool as Gogeta, in my opinion. But I think them revisiting Blue, the one that came out has that ugly orange support for his foot. His proportions are a little weird, like his head is too small, and his pose is just kind of awkward. Like he's just like kind of, it looks like he looks like he's about to like tango with somebody or something. I just want them to revisit it. Maybe they can do Final Kamehameha. There's a lot of things they could do with it, and I really want them to stylize the figure a lot more, because the one that we have basically just has no sauce. It's very boring. It's very plain. It's serviceable. It's probably the best Masterlise Vegito that you can get today, which is kind of sad if I'm being honest. But yeah, I'd like them to try again and maybe just add some more oomph and detail to the figure, and, you know, don't give him a tiny head this time. And finally, we have Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Blue Evolution, whatever you want to call it, Vegeta. The figure that we have that is technically this form is disgusting. It's one of the worst Masterlise figures of all time, the one from Ultimate Variation. It is not good, and it's so bad that people aren't even sure if it's Blue Evolution or not. His hair is not really like the right color or the right shade. His eyes have the Blue Evolution look to them, and then his body just kind of doesn't have the bigger muscles and everything that Vegeta has in the anime. So it is a very confusing figure. It is a very bad figure because Vegeta's face is terrible. So I'd like them to revisit it and do something like the Maxamatic. The Maxamatic was pretty perfect when thinking about Blue Evolution Vegeta. I don't know how far they're going to take that form, simply because it's kind of a Toei Animation anime exclusive form. He does do it in the manga eventually, but it's different. He doesn't really get like the super, you know, glossy hair. He doesn't get the giant muscles. He basically just gets like a fiery aura around him, which is kind of boring. So I do think they should go with the anime way if they want to make a figure of it. But hey, it's one of Vegeta's exclusive forms that he gets in Dragon Ball Super. So if they do want to try again and maybe include it in a Tournament of Power Ichiban Kuji, I think it would be great, you know, put them alongside Topo or something like that. But that is my list for my top 10 most desired Masterlise figures for them to revisit and redo. Please let me know your thoughts on my list down in the comment section below. And again, let me know your top 10 most desired Masterlise redos. And of course, recommend a video like this. We still have a few arcs that people have not recommended for us to make a top 10 most desired Masterlise list. And if you have something creative to recommend, I'd be happy to consider that too, to make maybe a creative video like this. But if you made it this far in the video and you enjoyed it, then please leave a like and of course subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you want to join our community full of awesome Dragon Ball collectors and enthusiasts just like you, check the Discord link in the description below. It's free to entry for everybody. And if you want to go even further beyond in supporting the channel, consider becoming a YouTube member starting at $3 a month. And of course, your generosity is going to be greatly appreciated here. And if you want to take part in our regular monthly giveaway, our $10, $15, and $20 members all have chances to win Crane figures, Ichiban Kuji figures, and entire Ichiban Kuji sets. But I think that's all I've got for you guys today. So until the next video, I will see you all later.